Hello, Cherries fans. AFC Bournemouth 2, Coventry City 2, match day 20. Have we got over it yet? Probably not. But you know what? It seemed like it was going to be a drab after 44 minutes, but after 95 minutes, I'm sure the neutrals and Coventry City were happy. Less so probably the Bournemouth fans, though. But it feels like it's been a while since we've done a Cherries extra time, a free-for-all format, the phone in. It's an opportunity for you to come on, give us your raw reaction, thoughts to that game, and where do we go next week with Fulham on a Friday. Let's do the housekeeping, though. If you're new to the channel, please do subscribe. We're looking to get to 1,000 by the end of the season, but can we get to 800 by the end of the year, shall we say, before we turn into 2022? Really do help us. Subscribe. Also, at some point in the video, hit the like button. You probably didn't want to hit the like on the game today, but it does help with the popularity on the videos and helps us grow again. And if you want to take part, this is your opportunity to come on. There is a link at the start of the chat. If you go right to the top, hit that link, enter your name, allow mic and cam access and enter the studio, and I'll bring you in when I have an available opportunity. Or if you don't want to come on, you can just let us know your thoughts in the interactive chat and we'll show those on the screen throughout the next hour or so that we're going to be on. So, hey, Jade and Anthony, I was preparing my half-time tweet of 64% possession with the ball, one shot on target. Then Jade and Anthony took us in 1-0 up. We probably knew that wouldn't be enough, but Phil Billing came back into the side today after his suspension. He got a second, and that should have been enough. But Jeff Lerma getting sent off a few minutes later, that would end up being the turnaround in this game, shall we say, and Coventry grew in the game. And with a goal in the 85th minute and 95th minute, it was points shared. Well, we're going to get fans on now. We're going to get some reaction, and let's see how they're feeling about that point. Hey, so we've got John Stark. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. You?
Yeah, not too bad. We've also got Matt Davis. How are you doing today?
Yeah, I'm good, Kirk. Thanks. Yourself?
Yeah, absolutely fine. And also, haven't seen him for a while. It's great to have him back on the channel. But how you doing, John?
Yeah, very good, thanks. Although very annoyed by the end of the game.
We're going to go through it, though, aren't we? And that's John Amos as well. So we've got two Johns in here. I'm going to bring those lineups on the screen then, John. This is John Spark. And at 2 o'clock, it was a change in formation. Some players that haven't had a lot of football. How are you feeling at 2 o'clock when Scott Parker released that lineup?
I was confused by Leif Davis not being in the side, first and foremost. Looking at the players and seeing no left back and 4 central midfielders, I was a little bit confused to start with. But given that Lerma has times settled into more of a centre back position in the last few games, I could see him moving into a back three with Cook and Mepham. I was pleased that it meant Mepham was going to be moving onto the right hand side to make it more comfortable for him. And having Cook and Kilkenny in the middle, I thought would make things quite interesting in terms of maintaining possession. Started off in a lot of control of the game in terms of possession, but didn't really do much with it. Things improved slowly as the half went on, but it was certainly a slow start.
Matt, I'm not sure it's a formation problem. I'm not saying I agree with the back three. I've never really been a fan of the back three since Jason Tindall. I don't think it's been formation in the last 3 games. I just think it's been application. We don't start quick enough. We're not brave enough. We don't try and hurt the teams inside 20, 25 minutes like we have done previously. And we let the opposition grow into the game. Is that how you see it? Or do you agree that the back three was the right decision before kickoff?
No, definitely not for me. I don't think we've ever been suited to play in a back three. None more so than today. I thought Jayden Anthony, albeit he got the goal right on half time, was far too deep in the first half because he was having to perform a wing back role. And he's not a wing back, is he? He's a left winger or a striker. So that nullified our threat down the left. And quite clearly, their weakness was down the right hand side. They played a back three, and it just seems like we matched them up for the sake of matching them up today. Agree with John. A little bit baffled as to why Leif Davis wasn't starting. Yes, we went with Steve Cook, and that was fine. I've been calling for that to happen. If Gary Cahill's not playing, in particular, Shane Ben Pearson's still not fit. But I just felt that we went to a back three, and I felt that it's the wrong shape for us, and we got it all wrong there in the first half. So for me, yeah, that maybe there was an application issue there in terms of us not being as productive and creative as we should have done. But for me, we should have. It's a back four all the way for me.
John, 2 o'clock. Was you confident with that formation, or did it bring nerves into this game for you?
Well, I looked at the lineup and I was trying to work out what the formation was going to be. And even when the match started, it was still confusing. I've got to be honest with you, and I'll probably get slated for it, but every time I see Mepham starting, I worry. And if you look at our 2 defeats this season, Mepham played in both of them. I'm not saying Mepham's our worst defender, but I did expect to see some changes. And I could understand why he put Lerma in the back three. I thought that was a good move because we've got plenty of central midfielders. But I did worry that it might be a very close game, and sure enough, it was. I mean, we all know Coventry have been doing a lot better than many of the commentators expected at the start of the season. But yeah, I thought Leaf would have played. I thought he was one of the better players against Millwall, to be honest. And yeah, I thought it was going to be interesting to see how we adapted to this new formation.
I was doing some Twitter chat last night before this game, and John Amos, I'll stay with you. Injuries: Stanislas, Kelly, Cahill, Pearson, Robbie Brady hasn't even played a game yet. David Brooks, we knows illness. James Zamora, Adam Smith. Is that a good point? Because some were saying that's a good point if we get out of there with a draw, but after being 2-0 up, drop points, surely.
Yeah, it's funny thing because I mean I don't think any of us would have expected us to be 1 point off top at this stage of the season. Or we'd all probably would have been happy realistically being in the top 6. Would have been happy? No. I mean, I think bearing in mind the results we've had at home, where we've only had the 1 defeat, or were they both at home? I can't remember now.
One defeat against Preston at home and 1 away against Derby.
Yeah, that's right. Just the 1 defeat, wasn't it? No, I think we should have beaten them today. And with a minute to go, we were going to go back to the top. So yeah, very, very annoying. Very annoying. I thought it was going to be a 2-1, which seemed to be our favourite result at one stage this season, didn't it? Always clinging on for a 2-1. And then that ball, which I thought was going wide. The angle I was at in the East Stand, I thought that shot was going wide. But yeah, no, I think it was there to be won today. I didn't think Coventry were very good at all. I know they had a couple of chances in the first half, but they didn't seem to be that great a side, in my opinion.
Matt, some also say that it's good to get into good habits, and good habits is Bournemouth scoring 2 goals at home. We do that very regular, but I'm having a look at a stat now that's concerning me a bit, and let me know what your thoughts are on this, Matt. So in the last 6 games, apart from 1 against Derby, in the first halves, we've had 1 shot on target against Reading, 0 against Preston North End, 1 shot on target in the first half against Millwall, and 2 shots on target, bearing in mind the second came in the 45th minute. And that's, for me, a real concern.
It is, yeah. We seem to have a lot of possession for possession's sake. And I think this is one thing that Fulham fans warned us about Scott Parker, didn't they? That there'll be a lot of possession. They'll want to try and dominate football matches, but it'll be a lot of possession for possession's sake. And there'll be no real cutting edge to it. And that seems to be the case. I think today, it was just a case of taking today in isolation. It was a case of the 2 teams cancelling each other out. I think we both played similar formations. And in the first half in particular, for 44 minutes, I think we cancelled each other out. I don't remember Coventry posing too much of a threat. And I don't remember us posing much of a threat either. I think there was a lot of play in the midfield, and it was just that it ebbed and flowed, didn't it? It was a battle in that midfield, and it was a question of who was winning that battle, and it was very much up for debate. But until the goal, which I felt come out of nowhere, I couldn't see that coming on 44 minutes. We didn't look like we were going to create much, and we didn't really look like scoring at all in that first half. So it's obviously a cause for concern. Yes, I don't want to be too negative. We have got a lot of injury problems. Parker's gone for a change of personnel. Some of it's been enforced, and today he's gone for a change of formation, which I think was, as I've already covered, the wrong decision. I would have gone with a back 4 definitely, but it's got to be a cause for concern for him that we're just not making enough chances. We are fairly clinical with the chances we do get, in as much as we're putting it in the back of the net. And it was the same on Wednesday night at Millwall. I couldn't see that goal coming either, and all of a sudden Solanke pops up and puts the ball in, and we're 1-0 up. But so we're clinical in that regard. But we have dropped off in terms of our creativity in recent weeks, and I put some of that down to injuries and interruption and disruption within the squad, within the personnel, which is bound to have an effect. But it's certainly a cause for concern. This dip that we're in at the moment. I think we've just got to ride this storm and get some players back and get back to what we were doing, because we seem to have stopped doing the basics. Right, what we were doing in early season, the pressing, the work rate is still there, the commitment is still there. Nobody's questioning that, but the pressing, the fast pass and move, the partnerships that we're forming, the width that the creative football in the middle of the park. Using the basics, one touch, two touch football. That seems to have we were losing possession a lot in our own half, and we were the victims of our own downfall second half, to be honest. Which all started with the red card for Lerma. But I just felt like we were losing possession a lot in our own half. There was no cohesion. We were not stringing the passes together. The pass and move wasn't working as well as it has early season, and it's just breaking down a little bit too much at the moment. So it is concerning, but hopefully we can come through it.
We got more guests standing by. I can see you, and we'll bring you into the show very, very soon. Let's go back to that red card then, John Spark. Jeff Lerma hasn't seen a red card since the 16th of January 2021 against Luton. So his disciplinary has definitely improved since his Premier League days. My concern was him playing in a back three. Is he has a tendency to make rash decisions, but he generally gets away with it in the middle of the park. If he pulls someone back or someone looks to counter-attack past him, he'll just make a challenge, a technical challenge, shall we say. When you're the last man, though, you know where you're probably going, and that's back to the changing rooms. Yes, we can label Jack Stacey with a poor pass. He just needs to turn out, stick it down the line with 2-0 up. But when you're playing Jeff Lerma in that position at 2-0, would you not try and think to go to a back four at 2-0? Although I can appreciate it was 2 minutes later.
But the thing is, we've absolutely dominated that game. For I totally agree that we didn't really do anything with the ball for the vast majority of it, but we still dominated it. The possession was vastly in our favour. We've not taken. I think I saw a stat from Ahmed Shubal that we had the most touches that we've had in any game so far this season in that match. Admittedly, yes, I do agree, and I tweeted out first half we had possession for possession's sake in that game. We weren't really doing anything with it, but Coventry did nothing in that match up until the red card. And in the, when it's going so well in the start of the second half, I don't really see why there would have been any need to change it, because the back three, the whole reason the back three is to make sure that Anthony and Stacey, by them playing incredibly high when we're in possession, is forcing their wing backs to stay deep. And that worked perfectly for 68 minutes. And as soon as Lerma gets that red card, the entire match changes. And really, I feel as though the decisions in terms of maintaining, at that point, keeping a back five, I thought was very odd. Because he put Lewis Cook to left centre-back, and we maintained a back five. Not putting Leif Davis on immediately was a really strange decision, to wait to make that change, which he did eventually. But at that point, I felt as though, he's already settled into what he felt he was going to do. But then he kept Lewis Cook at left centre-back for ages. So that was really weird. I think that once Lerma tries to control that ball, that's such a difficult thing to do. He's trying to control the ball that comes at him about 5 feet high. Stacey's the one that's to blame for the awful pass. And then Lerma does as best he can. And yes, we can say that he made a mistake. And arguably, if he doesn't touch the player, Travers is already quite far out of his goal to be able to pick up the first touch. But you can't legislate for that as a manager. His game plan has worked almost perfectly for 68 minutes until one of your players makes a horrible pass. The other one can't control it, and you're down to 10 men. It's incredibly frustrating, but there was a lot of positives out of that. It's far better than the Millwall performance, far better than the Derby performance. And as much as I feel as though, yes, there were issues, 2-0, cruising, and just one error, and we're suddenly on the back foot. And we probably created one of the best chances of the match when we went down to after we went down to 10 men. I think Phil Billing had a really good opportunity? Well, we had one really good chance even after we went down to 10 men from a nice passing move. But then after that, we settled way too deep, and Dominic Solanke was up front on his own, couldn't do anything, and we were holding on.
John Amos, we're going to let you go and enjoy the rest of your Saturday, but I want to get some positivity in here if we can. Jayden Anthony, 6th goal of the season. He's been a bright spark for us. Philip Billing got himself back in the goals as well. We go on to Fulham next week. We probably need Ben Pearson to get fit somehow. How are you feeling a week ahead of that game on Friday against Fulham?
I think it's going to be a tough one, isn't it? I mean, Mitrovic missed a game or two recently, didn't he? And I thought, good, maybe he's going to be out for our match with him. But I mean, Fulham is interesting, isn't it? We've lost to Derby and Preston, and yet they've both got draws with Fulham as well, haven't they? So those two teams obviously are quite good, and Fulham seem to have those problems in overcoming those teams like we do. I don't think there's any easy fixtures in the Championship. So bring on Fulham. Hopefully, if we can beat them, then we go top, don't we? So that'll be good.
John,
but I think we'd all settle for a point there, wouldn't we? So
no, yeah, absolutely. I think we would at this stage. But John, it's been great to have you on. Great to see you on the channel again, and we'll catch up with you soon.
Yeah, thank you very much. Up the cherries.
All right.
Cheers, John.
Cheers, John.
Let's bring another guest in then as well. Simon Kay, how are you?
Hello, my lovelies.
Hey, Simon.
You all right?
Yeah,
We're
good.
going to get your post-match reaction in just a minute, Simon.
Well,
but let's take a look. Oh, look, it's out. It's out. The bill's out.
It came to the game for the first time today because Heather asked me to take it and he scored, but I wouldn't have given him man of the match. Anyway, carry on, Kirk. Come to me in a minute.
Let's have a look at the other Championship scores today then as well. It was Preston North End 1, Fulham 1. That was the early kickoff. We could have gone top with a win. It was Birmingham 1, Blackpool 0. AFC Bournemouth 2, Coventry 2, Huddersfield 1, Middlesbrough 2, Hull City 2, Millwall 1, Luton 1, Cardiff 2, Peterborough 0, Barnsley 0, Stoke 0, Blackburn 1 and Swansea 2, Reading 3. Let's just take a look at that Championship table. We were so close. We're about a minute away from being top of it, but we aren't going into that fixture next week. Fulham top, 43 points. Bournemouth 42. West Brom, they dropped more points last night with 34. Blackburn 33. Coventry 33. And QPR 32. So we go into this fixture next week, Simon, with Fulham. But firstly, let's get your reaction to AFC Bournemouth 2, Coventry 2.
Yeah. I didn't think we deserved to win the game. That might be slightly controversial, but we might have had a lot of the ball. We might have had these chances, but over the course of the whole game, I didn't like it. Now, that's probably because we've been spoiled with what's come before. And I was listening to what Matt said, and I completely agree that the injuries and the disjointedness of the performance didn't make it feel nice. So even when we were 2-0 up, I didn't feel comfortable. It was really weird. And it just felt like Coventry were going to score a goal at some point in that game. And yes, Lerman's red card happened. And when it finished 2-2, strangely, I wasn't that miffed. I was like, didn't deserve to win. It's a point. And that might be not like everybody else feels, but that's genuinely how I felt in comparison to other performances.
Not disappointed after 66 minutes, so Simon?
I think when you watch a game of football, you know and you feel if you deserve to win a game. And I just felt we were 2-0 up, but we weren't actually anything like what we should be. It could have been 0-0. I mean, it's just my personal opinion. You know, we scored 2 goals. Jayden Anthony's first goal was a bit of a fluke, you know, to be honest. It was one of those kind of crosses, you know, that went in. And then obviously the ball that he put in for the second goal was magnificent. Phil Bill was on the end of it. But across the whole of the game, up to the point when Lerma got sent off, if you take that off, we had a lot of the ball, but I just didn't feel comfortable. So when it finished 2-2, I was kind of like, yeah, it's 2-2. We're second. We're still 8 points clear of third. Everybody else keeps beating everybody else. It's a missed opportunity again, but we're still where we are. So let's push on. Let's get on with the next game. Let's get some players back. We know how good we are when we have fit players. It's one of those injuries, disjointedness, not fluid phases of a season. And that's what you get in the Championship from time to time. As soon as the players come back and we're solid again, we're going to be absolutely fine. But in that game, that's just how I feel.
Matt, you know that I've said to people that Scott will not admit this. He will never admit this. But is West Brom dropping points, Fulham dropping points before kickoff? Is that not putting added pressure on the team that they've got that in the back of their mind and go, do you know what? A point's not bad. I wanted 6 at Millwall. I wanted 3 at Millwall. I wanted 3 today. I wanted 6 out of those 2 games. Others were happy with 4. We've taken 2. Can we say that it's being influenced by other results going on elsewhere?
Not really. If anything, it's given us more encouragement and motivation and incentive. The fact that others behind us are dropping points, particularly West Brom, it should be, Scott Parker needs to be saying to them, the team should know that they've got to go out and give that extra 1%, that extra 5% or whatever it is to get the result, because we're going to pull away even further than we are now. Because we all know what the Championship's like, and I've said this many a time. It can come back to bite you in a heartbeat. That 8-point gap that we've got at the moment, that can be reduced significantly in no time at all. We've only got to carry on the sort of run that we're on, and teams won't continue to slip up. It might not even be West Brom. It might be somebody else, Blackburn Rovers. That they won at Stoke today. Anybody could put a run together, and all of a sudden we've only got a 2 or a 3-point gap, and then the gap's gone, and that's where the pressure then comes in, and that's where that's then the acid test, isn't it? To see how we react to that. But we're great as supporters, and as, in life, we're greedy, aren't we? We don't want it to get to that, because we've worked so hard to get to the point we're at now. We don't want to throw that away. And I agree with Simon. We are going through this period. We've got players out. It's a massive factor in. It's affecting performances. It's affecting results. It will for any Championship team. So we've got to ride this storm, as I said, and it's difficult. Every team's going to go through a difficult period, but also I take John's point. At 2-0, Lerma gets sent off. We shoot ourselves in the foot. It's a poor bit of play on the right hand side from Stacey, and at 2-0, you've got to see that game out. Lerma he couldn't do anything else but take the man down, could he? From where I was sitting in the South Stand, but
there's definitely some game management that's got to be improved upon.
Yeah,
and this isn't the first time that we've had this season where we can say game management's been poor.
How many times has it happened where we've been 2-0 up in a game, particularly at home, and then we've let the opposition back in, and we've been biting our nails in the final 5 or 10 minutes. Yeah. And today, it's really come back to bite us when the game should have been. You're quite right. Game management is a massive factor in it. 2-0 up, you've got to put the game to bed. You've got to shut up shop for 10 minutes, keep them quiet, keep their fans quiet, and the game's in the bag. Don't do anything rash. Don't do anything silly. Do the basics, and that's something that we didn't do today. And I'm sure Parker's aware of it.
And I think that's something that's consistent over many games, and that's the bottom line. That's where we're failing. For me, is game management at particular points in many games.
I agree.
Just a quick point on Meths. I thought he had a brilliant game. He's a brilliant player in a 3. He's not so good in a 4. He's not a traditional right back, but I thought he had a really good game today on balance. And I also thought Steve Cook had a good game. The number of times the ball came in the box and he headed the ball away and he got in great positions. He played really well, considering he hadn't or hasn't played since that Norwich game. He could have been a lot more rusty than he was. So even though we let in 2 goals, I felt a bit sorry for the defence because they were pretty solid most of that game.
I thought he grew into the game, Cookie, for me. He looked a bit rusty to start with, naturally, because he hasn't played. But he did grow into it, and he was his usual self at points. I still think he's maybe lost the yard where he's not played, so you can forgive him for that. Meps, I take your point, Simon. Meps is always better in a back 3 or a back 4 when he's on his right side, on the right side of defence. Otherwise, forget it with Meps.
John,
sorry, Kurt, we were taking over your show there. Back to you.
That's absolutely fine. You crack on. It saves my voice, so it's all good. John, we got Steve Cook in an image there. He looks like he's playing baseball with those fingers, trying to set up the baller, or the bowler, shall we say. But you had some thoughts on Chris Mepham earlier on in the week. Steve Cook came in. I thought he should have played at Millwall. Yeah, I mean, how do you feel those two played today?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. They both played pretty well. I think it was, blindingly obvious how much better it was playing out from the back with Mepham on the right-hand side and Steve Cook on the left. because Steve Cook has played on the left his entire career for the most part, unless Ake shifts him to the right. But he's so he's so much more confident on his left foot than Mepham is, who can only really look to put it onto his right-hand side. And yeah, he was fantastic in the air as well, dealing with quite a lot of balls into the when they did have the odd opportunity to put the ball into the box. Cookie was there very often, dealing with the high balls, and I think there was elements where I think maybe they could have done a little bit better with passing out from the back, but I think that also comes from the support they were getting from Cook and Kilkenny, in that the triangles were all there to make the passing, but I think Kilkenny in particular often was just a bit reticent to just take a touch and then move the ball forward. He was constantly touching it backwards, which wasn't helping anyone. But those, I think the three of them, Lerma, Mepham, and Cook, dealt with pretty much everything that came at them up until the red card. The only instances where we made it difficult for ourselves was more often than not was a Jaden Anthony misplaced pass that would give the ball to them in our own third and cause us to struggle a little bit. But balls over the top, if they went far, Lerma has the pace to easily deal with any of those, which he did, and high balls were consistently dealt with. Even the long ones up from the keeper, Mepham and Cook were all over those. So I think they played pretty darn well. I think you're right, Matt, in that Cookie sort of grew into the game more. But just for the most part was fine for 68 minutes. And then obviously it all turned on its head.
Well, the 95th minute equaliser, the sucker punch, it has hit us a bit hard, but let's bring a big smiling face into the show, shall we? Shall we bring James Reed in? How you doing, James?
Yeah.
All right, James?
A point's surely better than none, James. Are you happy that we didn't lose the game? He's just going to type if he's happy.
Yeah.
Happy. Who was your man of the match for this game, James?
Right there.
Mepham. Mepham had a good game, and he does have a good game in him. And you have a feeling that next week, James, we might get a win at Fulham. Is that right?
Yeah.
James is going for a 2-1 to the Cherries. So it's been great to see you, James. We got a point. Have a good rest of the weekend, and we'll speak to you soon. Cheers, James. Great to see James on, and he's gone for 2-1 to the Cherries next week, bringing some big smile into the stream there. Simon, what has Scott Parker learnt then from this? He's played a back three out of nowhere. He's going into probably the biggest game of the season next Friday. Has it caused problems, or is it told him a few things that he might go with next week?
I don't know. I guess it's who's available to play next week is the first question. I mean, I haven't got a bloody clue who's actually available. There's all kinds of rumours flying around that Kelly might be back and Pearson might be fit, and all that. I'm just lost with who actually we might have available. So, he did, I think, the best we could expect. Even though when the team sheet came out, I was a bit like, well, how the hell's that all going to work? But it was okay. What he does, I'm lost. For the first time this season, I wouldn't know where to start. If you haven't got any other players back, you probably have to go with something similar again.
I'm just
or you go with a back four and you play a four with Davis back in.
I mean,
you go back to how we were.
I know we've got injuries, but I really did think if we could attack the Coventry side today with the fitness we do have is going forward. Matt, I thought if we could attack Coventry today, and I know we were 2-0 up, but I wouldn't say we attacked them. It took 44 minutes to get our second shot on target, as we said. But I thought it was almost a free hit of Fulham if we had won this game. And now the pressure's on again, because if we do lose at Craven Cottage, it's 5. And like you've said, those points can soon disappear. So the pressure is on. And with that injury list, can he get a few back? Maybe. But he's not going to have much time on the training ground to work with them.
No, he's not. It's definitely 2 points thrown away from the position we're in. But it's another challenge for the players and for Scott Parker. This is why he's been brought in, Scott Parker, and this is why he's paid the money that he's paid. He's got to earn his corn now, hasn't he? managers have to delegate. They have to do that. They have to deal with injuries, suspensions. That's all part and parcel of it. So he's got those decisions he's got to work with what he's got to play with next Friday. Get the players up for it. A point would still be another very good result at Fulham, and then we go into a very, very busy Christmas period with some massive games again. Blackburn, Middlesbrough, QPR, all very, very tough games on paper, but all games that we're going to need to step up in and produce probably better performances than we have of late to be able to win those games.
John, not all Bournemouth fans will be in sync. We know this from Twitter conversations and debates, but we all want the same thing. We all want success and we all want promotion. Scott Parker, I believe, was 60% in favour when he came in. That probably went up to 80% when he went 15 unbeaten. Where's Scott Parker now with the fan base, do you think?
That is a really good question.
Thank you.
I'd say you're welcome. I'd say his favourability is probably more than 50-50 at the moment. I think given that we're on a run of 1 win in 5, that certainly colours, it's not just Bournemouth fans, football fans are fickle, incredibly fickle. When things are going well, everyone loves you. When things aren't going so well, suddenly you're the worst manager in the world. I think there is at least a knowledge amongst the Bournemouth fans that you've got to look at the likes of Kelly in particular are a huge miss. Jordan Zamora has been replaced relatively well by Leif Davis, but there's certainly you can't replace necessarily the link-up play and just how efficient our left-hand side were in Jordan Zamora and Jayden Anthony at just creating moves and attacking play out of nothing. It was basically all our attacks were down the left-hand side in the first month or two of the season. And then, you've got the likes of Pearson coming in and out. We got Billing getting dropped through suspension. You got things just seem to have not been able to be consistent in the last sort of 5 games. And whilst, the defeat against Preston was, out of nowhere, everything else has sort of festered in terms of injuries and form and suspension. So there's an element that Parker can control, and there's an element he can't control. And as much as I feel as though, like with any manager, there are definitely things he could have done differently or better, and I'm sure he'll know that himself in some of his decision making, particularly in terms of formation changes in the middle of games against Preston and Derby. This isn't FIFA or Football Manager. You can't go every game. You can't win every single game in a season. You have to judge your expectations on where you are and where you look to be. And we are overperforming based on what our expectations were at the start of the season. But given where we got to pre-Preston, we have not achieved what would have been expected by anyone involved with Bournemouth. So yeah, he won't be as favourable as 2 months ago, or even a month ago, I would say. But he's still doing enough without a doubt with this squad. And when we have our players back, hopefully we'll have the likes of Kelly possibly fit. You've got Cahill possibly back. Jordan Zamora won't be back for Fulham, but when the squad is fully fit, we know what it's capable of. We know he's brought them to that point. And even today, we won the ball a lot up front, up top. It was one of our better pressing performances recently. There were elements that you can say are coming back to what we know Bournemouth are capable of in this game. But like any side, when you lose some of your best players, you're going to struggle. But when you only own 1 win in 5. Yeah, I'm sure there are a lot of people that are sort of not as favourable with Parker that are being a lot more vocal at the moment.
AFC Bournemouth 2 then, Coventry City 2, and let's just take a look. We put a poll out for man of the match. It has gone with Jayden Anthony for 51.7%. Lewis Cook got 17.2%. Steve Cook came back into the side. He showed his grit, 31%. Phil Bill didn't even get Simon didn't even get a vote, not one, but he did.
Yeah, well, I'm not surprised. He might have scored a goal, but if you take the performance over the whole game, he was hardly in it. there were many instances in the first kind of 45 minutes where I was thinking, what's he doing? Because we could have done with a different kind of player in his position with a bit more speed in transition. That old thing that I often talk about, speed in transition. It was all a bit slow, and they'd often be looking back all the time. Wouldn't be looking forward enough. But he got his goal, and, that's what he's there to do as well. I just don't think it was one of the games where he was anywhere near man of the match. I don't know what they've been drinking, whoever gave him the man of the match, but he wasn't in my top 3 or even top 5.
Well, he wasn't picked by anyone as man of the match, quite clearly.
Not on this one.
No, at the ground. At the ground, he was given man of the match. Yes.
He didn't even get one vote on this one. So
in the stadium, he was man of the match by the sponsors.
Yeah, sponsors.
There we go.
Yeah.
We're going to go round in a moment. We're just going to have a quick discussion on Fulham. We're going to go for about another 10 or so minutes. I'm going to ask you all a question in a minute. But firstly, we just want to thank our channel supporter members that really do help contribute towards the running of our channel with the software that we use, and it keeps up the content so we can keep going throughout the season. So thank you to our channel supporter members. We've got Steve Hensman, Richard Riemann, Rich Neal, Mike Irwin, Sammy Nell, and Neil Whedon. We also had a one-off donation as well from Paul last night as well, which we really appreciate. We put that on Instagram, Paul Horry, and we put it on Twitter as well. And you can just make one-off donations. But if you want to become a monthly sporting member, you can visit buymeacoffee.com/Cherries Red Army. But guys, I've got a question coming your way. I'm going to tell you that in just a moment. We have got 5 games of 2021 left, Simon. We got Fulham at Craven Cottage, Blackburn, Borough away, QPR away, and Cardiff at home. 15 available points until we hit January, which is normally a period I actually worry about, but maybe we'll have a full squad by then. 15 points. What are you looking for out of those 15?
Ideally 12. I think we might get 8.
8. Matt, out of those 15 points, some difficult travels on the roads up to Middlesbrough. Got to leave at potentially 115 if you're living in Weymouth. How many points are you looking for? Well, that might be Matt. Over to you, John. We'll just pull Matt out for the moment. 15 points. How many are you looking for?
15. Looking at those games, yeah, those are not easy at all. I would look for a minimum of 7 from that, and I think that would still be a relatively decent turnover. Away at Fulham, we'd all be happy with a point from there. Blackburn Rovers, they're now 4th. That's not an easy game. Middlesbrough away, changing manager again, not an easy. QPR, and then Cardiff at least is one that might be at least an expectation that we win, but even then they've suddenly turned it around a little bit as well. So yeah, I'd certainly say minimum of 7 I'd be looking for from that one. But yeah, that's a really, really tough December.
Simon, a week then for Scott Parker to try and get some players back, try and get some work done on the training grounds. Fulham on Friday, are you going?
No, I haven't got enough points. As you know, my story is waiting for my son to, I had to go back to 0 and start again. So only got 1 point, so can't go. But we'll be going to QPR, but not Fulham. Are you going to ask me what I think he should do?
Go for it. What he should do, if he's got players available that you think will be available, what the score will be. Do we get out of there with a point, even if it's a drab draw?
Well, I've got to pin my hopes that Kelly's back. So and Kelly and Cahill. I'm going to pin my hopes on that, and we go back to a back 4. Stacey right back, Davis left back, and we get back to how we have been performing with the formation we've had before. It depends also on whether they get Mitrovic back. And I guess with the matches he's missed, he probably is going to be back, just based on the process of elimination. So if we can get a point there, great. I just go back to the team we've had before. But we'll give it a good go. It's not the worst ground. We do have a pretty good record at Craven Cottage over the years. So we could get away with a win. But I'll take a point. Just don't lose.
John, winless in 3, and we didn't take enough points from winning positions, do we get a win at Craven Cottage next week, or is it 10 minutes at a time?
Yeah, I mean, we'd all be happy with a point, and I think if we were coming into this one in form, I think I'd say we'd be favourites, because the thing about Fulham is that really they're the best team in the division going forward, because they've got Mitrovic and they've got a player like Harry Wilson who can absolutely run games at this level. But at the back, they're really nothing special in terms of their defensive record. However, I think that has improved as the season has gone on. But you can certainly look at games like their 4-1 loss away at Coventry. I mean, yes, we did concede 3 to Derby, but that is the only time that we've conceded more than 2 goals in a match so far this season, I believe, as long as I'm not having a weird brain fart. So, we can get at Fulham without a doubt. They do have an impressive squad, but there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to go there and attack. The worry is obviously defensively. Now, Mitrovic did start today, so I think he only missed the 1 game overall. And they have the likes of Wilson, Carvalho's an impressive attacker. If we've got Kelly back and maybe Cahill as well, whether we'd start him or not, I certainly expect us to move to back to a back 4, back to the 4-3-3 that we've been using for most of the season. And it's another one that I would expect a high-scoring draw. I managed to call this one bang on today, actually, with a 2-2 on the breakfast show. And I wouldn't be surprised if it was the exact same game against Fulham. I mean, not the exact same, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was the same result. I certainly expect us to score a couple, but it's whether we can stop them. And a month ago I would have said, yeah, we could keep a clean sheet against Fulham. We're doing that well. Now we don't have that form, so yeah, it's going to be a tough game, and I'm pretty confident we can get a result there and take at least a point home.
Brilliant. Simon, it's been great to see you. Everything going okay with the Talking Cherries? And where can people keep up to date with the Talking Cherries?
At Cherries Talking, Twitter, Instagram. Come and join our Zoom calls. Details on social media. Just keep talking. Stay well, and be as positive as you can, even when you have let a 2-goal lead slip again.
It's still a point, isn't it? And I'll catch up with you soon, Simon.
Take care. All the best. And to you, John.
Cheers.
Bye.
Cheers, Simon.
See you later.
All the best.
We're just going to try and bring Matt back into the room. We've also got Morgan coming on for the last 5 minutes. Matt, how's it going? Are we back in the room?
We're back in the room, mate. Sorry about that. A couple of connection issues there. I don't know what happened, but I'm back.
I will just quickly bring Morgan in as well. Morgan, AFC Bournemouth 2, Coventry 2, post-match reaction.
Tom, shut up! I'm live. Sorry. Yeah, I think. I think it's all right. To be fair, obviously it would have been good to get the 3 points, but it's been a good week, and we just get over the line. Well, we can never get over the line, can we? But I think Lerman's red card changed the game, and just back to basics, ain't it? We just can't seem to grind the result out.
Is that Mr. Tom Jordan I can hear in the background?
Sounds like it to me.
Has he had a word with Jeff Lerma yet? That's all I want to know. Connection seems to be a bit slow.
Yeah, Tom, do you want to say hello?
Hello.
Hello, how you doing, Tom?
Oh, here he is. I don't hear anything, Morgan. Put it in my ear. Okay, you're right.
How you doing? Had a word with Jeff Lerma yet? That's all I want to know, really.
Oh, God. I'm in.
Have you been able to catch up with Jeff yet and ask about his red card yet? That's the first red card he's had since January 21.
Oh, mate, I'm gutted. I'm not angry at him. I'm disappointed. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Post-match thoughts, though, Tom. 2-2 draw from 2-0 up after 66 minutes. Points dropped.
He did play well. I'm frustrated for him, but it was I thought it was a silly pass from Stacey, but it was also a bad touch from them, to be fair.
All right, guys. We're going to drop
and he
you
should
out.
have shown his experience.
Signal's a bit slow, guys, so we're going to drop you out. But thanks for coming on. Good to see your faces, and hopefully we'll see you at Fulham. Okay, so signal not great wherever they are. Matt, the final question that I asked Simon before he went was Fulham next week. How you feeling about it? A week now until that game. Are you going? Do we get out of there with a draw?
No, I'm not going. I've done 3 games in a week, so I'm giving this one a rest. Friday night, work takes preference this week, unfortunately, so I can't get next Friday off. So I'll be watching it. How confident am I? Not very at the moment. I'm probably with John in as much as I'd take a draw all day long. I think, and again, I think it will probably be quite an open game. There might be goals in it. I've got a feeling that we can nick a draw. Something like a 2-2 again would be a decent result. But I think we're going to have to step up our game. We're going to have to step up to the levels that we've been at previous to this little bad run that we've been on, because we're really going to have to turn up next week against Fulham. So it's going to be our toughest test of the season, isn't it? Fulham away. So it will be a real barometer of where we're at next Friday. It's whether we can raise our game back and return to form, as it were. Maybe get a few key players back, and play the football and work play as a team like we were in the earlier part of the season. But yeah, got to go into it positive and confident. 2 good sides going head to head. I think the 2 best teams in the division from a footballing point of view, the 2 best squads. So looking forward to it. Hoping for a good game.
Giving someone else an away day, Matt. Maybe it was me, because I'm going for a change.
Are you going? Yeah, I'll
as
let
long
you
as
have,
as long as COVID doesn't run through
permitted.
my household again this week, I'll be going, because that stopped me going to today's game. But Matt, great to have you on. Great to have your thoughts from today's game. Have a good rest of the week, and we'll definitely see you on Cherries Red Army very soon.
Absolutely. Yeah, all the best, Kirk. Thanks for having me on as ever. All the best, John.
No worries.
Take care.
Catch you later.
Thanks for going on again.
Thanks.
And there we are then, John. Fulham on Friday. I'm sure you'll be watching it, and you're going to hopefully give your thoughts somewhere, whether it's Twitter or Cherries Red Army, and review videos or previews. And what are you going to be doing next week?
Yeah, I'm going to be getting back home on a Friday. Unfortunately, I'll be working in the office on Friday, so I will have to race back, grab some munchies, and then be watching the game all evening. Probably from behind this chair for a large chunk of it, if the last 20 minutes of the game today is anything to go by. But just going to have my fingers crossed. Hopefully we'll have a lot of players, at least 1 player or 2 back from injury. And gotta just do the best we can. It's probably, on paper, this is the hardest game of the season. So getting any result is going to be a good thing to take into the following weeks.
Brilliant. Great to have you on this week, John. We had the watch along as well earlier in the week for Millwall, so thanks for joining me on that one as well. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll speak to you next week.
Yeah, no problem. Speak to you later.
See you soon. Someone we definitely won't have on Friday is Jeff Lerma. So Scott Parker can bring some players back into team, but not everyone. Please subscribe to Cherries Red Army. If you're new to the channel, please help us try and get to 800 by Christmas, shall we say. Also hit the like button, because it really, really, really does help. So 2-0 up. Jaden Anthony got his 6th goal of the season. Phil Billing came back into the team, and he got back to scoring ways. But we fell apart last 22 minutes, and Coventry City, they go back to the Midlands with a point. So there we have it. Make sure you hit that notification bell as well, because we'll have content coming out next week, a preview at some point for Fulham, and then I should hopefully be at Craven Cottage. So next weekend we'll have a watch along, and hopefully that's to a Cherries win. But thank you to everyone who's got involved this evening. Thanks for you for getting involved in the chat as well. And the Cherries may be winless in 3, but at least we didn't lose again this time. Until the next video, take care of yourselves, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we'll see you on the next video. Up the Cherries.